Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Dylan Bradshaw. We come in here every single week and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money Kyle Larson. A stressful, and I cannot stress it enough, Dylan, a stressful conclusion to the NASCAR Cup Series round of 12 playoffs at the Charlotte Roval this past weekend for Kyle Larson. A stressful round altogether for us Larson fans, but Kyle was able to advance into the round of 8 in both the owners and drivers standings. We have recap and analysis from the High Limit Sprint Car Series race at Bridgeport as well as the Tuscarora 50 at Port Royal. But before we get to that, Dylan, super glad you're back on here. Last week was awkward. I hate doing the solo shows, so good to have you back on.
Yeah, we have like what three solo shows I think on the channel, but yeah, they're just always pretty boring. So it's good to have both of us have some interaction and share thoughts and everything. But yeah, very stressful. After Texas, with what happened to Texas, we weren't looking too good at heading into Dega, but thankfully we escaped out of Dega looking good. Then going into Roval, we just needed a decent qualifying spot, decent finish, just a decent day. We didn't necessarily need a win to survive, and obviously we saw the practice. He wiped out. Had to go to a backup car. The shop's like a half mile away, so they were like hauling the cars back and forth. The team was up all night getting everything situated, but ended up starting in the back. It wasn't looking too hot. Wasn't very hopeful, but I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, it's that five team. I mean, they've done it time and time again, starting from the back. But road course, it's just something different. The passing here at road courses is just not good at all in this car. So wasn't really looking too hopeful. But obviously we ultimately ended up getting it done. We got a 13th place finish. We got some stage points, finished fifth in stage two. So we got out of it clean, thankfully. Right above the cut line, Truex, he was right under us too. That there was a lot of scenarios where I was definitely biting my nails, like potentially Kyle Busch win there at the end. Like he
Yeah.
was sitting up there at the front. That would have really made things super stressful because he would have just bumped the whole cut line down and he would have been battling with Truex. They were neck and neck. Pretty much the main chunk of the drivers above the cut line were like 1-2 points within each other. So it was a real nail biter. And you had the scenario where, with Chastain, when he came by Larson, Chastain could have done something to Larson there, just completely taking him out. That was stressful. So I'm glad Larson was able to steer clear of any situation. And he was definitely playing it safe there at the end, which I'm glad wasn't being aggressive or anything. And just finished this strong 13th place finish. Made it out of the round, so hopefully we can move forward and pick up a quick win going into Vegas and cement our way into Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly, I think it was a little bit. I mean, Talladega we know is always very stressful, but the Roval race yesterday was super stressful for us watching because, like you said, the points were super tight. Not only on the drivers' points standing side of things, but the owners' side. We're kind of used to looking at both now with last year's situation of Larson ending up in the final four on the owner's side, but not the driver's side. But he was able to make it through on both. Was super close on the owner side. Only got in by I think a couple points over Truex. So now we're in the situation where Truex is not going to be competing for an owner's championship from this point forward because Chase Elliott is in that eighth spot on the owner's side for the Hendrick Motorsports number 9 car. So good to see that. But yeah, I mean, just a crazy weekend altogether. I think going back to your point about the Hendrick Motorsports shop only being like a half mile or a mile away from the track, I think I saw on Twitter somebody said Chad Knaus had an engine in the back of his pickup truck, or and maybe not his pickup truck, but a pickup truck, driving it to the shop from the track. I think that they have the backup engine. I think was at the track instead of being at the shop because they had the actual backup car at the shop, so they had to bring the backup engine to the shop to put in the backup car. So a lot of work overnight there from the 5 team. But man, I mean the perseverance on Sunday was great from these guys. I mean they did everything they needed to do to really just manage the race. It wasn't. Cliff Daniels said it in an interview after the race. They always want to have the storybook ending of winning the race after starting 36th and crashing in practice and all of that. But really, it was about managing the race and just bringing home a finish that was going to ultimately propel the 5 team into the next round, which they were able to do. So really looking forward to Las Vegas this coming week, a clean slate, and I'll put the standings, the playoff standings, up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Kyle Larson, 3 points above the cut line, so we're in the green again, just for a short 3 races. So hopefully, maybe a win in the next 3 weeks, Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, of the tracks, I mean, coming up, Vegas, he's looking very good at. I mean, first race of the round of 80 has 10 top tens and 6 top 5s and 14 starts. The one win he has was his first win with Hendrick in 2021, but I mean, he finished second there 2 of the last 3 races. The one of those races was where he was hooked on the front stretch in 22, but he has a top 10 at Vegas in 6 of his last 7 races, so very impressive. Very strong track. Kyle's always good on those intermediate tracks, and then after that we head into Homestead, which is pretty much his playground. Saw him dominate there in the Valvoline car last year. Led a ton of laps, just riding the wall. So it's definitely a good stretch of tracks heading into this round of the playoffs. So looking forward to it. Glad the stressful, very stressful round of 12 tracks are out of the way. You pretty much have Texas, and then as we said, Dega and Roval are just kind of up in the air. I wish Roval was done with. They teased that with the whole schedule, saying that the Oval was coming back 2 races, but Roval it will be back again. Maybe in 25 we'll see the Oval back twice, but yeah, Roval's always stressful. I mean, 21 we needed to win there. Last year we came oh so close. This year, just I mean the BS never stops at the Roval, so glad we came out of it unscathed and are advancing, and like I said, we're heading into a good round for Kyle Larson.
And kind of speaking about the schedule and how the rounds play out, we had the 2024 schedule come out last week, Dylan, and very interesting stuff there. We complain all the time about having a road course and a super speedway in the same round, but with the release of the 2024 schedule, we saw the same thing happen, but now we're going to have that in the round of 16 as well, because the opening race of the playoffs in 2024 will be Atlanta, another, I guess you could call it, super speedway with a drafting track or whatever you want to call it, and then Watkins Glen being moved into the playoffs as well in that round of 16. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that, the 2024 schedule. I think there are some good things, but that's definitely a bad point for me.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the regular season goes, it's cool to have Iowa Speedway. I think that's going to be a cool event in June. But yeah, the playoffs. I mean, taking Darlington away to the opener of the playoffs, that really sucks. I mean, that's just such a good race. Larson obviously won that this year, so such a good race. But that'll now be the finale, and the Daytona race will be the race before that. But yeah, Super Speedway opening up, that's awful. Then immediately a road course, then Bristol. It's pretty much just round of 12, but reversed, with Texas, Dega, and Roval. So
Yeah.
not excited for that. Then Kansas, Dega, and Roval. I mean, basically a repeat. I mean, you have one track that guys are really going to, really go try hard at winning at, which is the normal oval tracks, and then, a road course in a super speedway. And then the round of eight's pretty normal, and then Phoenix again, which I'm tired of Phoenix. I wish that would, eventually change, but um, yeah, I don't know. I just definitely do not like it at all. I don't like road courses, period. I don't really like super speedways. I like the glamour around like Talladega, Daytona, but as far as the product of racing, I just do not like super speedways. It's pretty much just follow the leader, and then your car just gets junked at the end, and everyone's hopes and chances are ruined. So yeah, I don't like it at all.
Yeah, and I think for me it's also like, super speedways have always been a part of NASCAR, and with the schedule, I think our biggest issue with it is we don't like super speedways being the races that determine who our champion's going to be. I mean, even more so, I know we don't like the playoff format with the round of 16, 12, 8, whatever. I liked the old chase format better, for me at least. But with having two super speedways in there to determine our champion, I feel like it's a little bit weird. I think that it doesn't really give us the best picture of who are the best drivers in this season. I mean, we've seen it in this round. I think with the super speedway, with Talladega, with having the Roval. I mean, there's definitely some things that NASCAR could do better in future schedules, but it seems like they like that kind of drama. I think they like seeing guys like Larson, like Truex on the cut line. I mean, Truex is our regular season champion. I know he hasn't ran that good at really any of the playoff races, but the regular season champion, basically almost out in the first two rounds, just squeaks by into the round of eight.
Yeah, I mean it's been a crazy playoff for Truex for sure. I think I saw one stat. I couldn't find it for the podcast again, but it kind of pretty much just laid out all the points all of the playoff drivers have earned thus far, and Truex was at the very bottom. I mean, I think he earned around like 130 points less than like Byron this playoffs, which is just crazy. I mean, he's just barely gotten by, barely got through at Bristol. Made a surprise qualifying effort there. He did okay, but didn't really get a good finish. And I mean, he just scraping by pretty much. So it's crazy. He did so good in the regular season, especially near the end, and he's just barely getting by. But we're heading into the round now where you really can't do that. We're heading into a chunk of tracks where you pretty much need to rack up really good finishes all the way throughout. Larson, he had a really, really strong, initial round in the round of 16. Byron, I think Larson had an average finish of 2 point something around 16. Byron follows it up. He had like an average finish of 1 point something, got a win, then the two second place finishes. So it's going to take that type of consistency to move into this round of four and into that Phoenix race.
Yeah, and I think you look at Larson and Byron as really the two favorites for me to advance or win a race and advance. I would say to the round or to the championship four because we've seen how good Hendrick Motorsports has been on those mile-and-a-half tracks. We know how good Larson is at Homestead. So I mean, for me, I'm gonna right out pick Larson to win at Homestead. I think that's an easy choice. I think Reddick's going to be competitive there. Reddick's now in the round of eight, so he got through this weekend at the Roval. So he's one that could do good there at Homestead. I know Bell's not bad at Homestead as well, but I think this coming weekend it's gonna be Hamlin, it's gonna be Larson, it's gonna be Byron. It's gonna be those three guys that are gonna be really the three fast cars and the guys competing for the win at Las Vegas. Gonna be interesting to see that one. But yeah, just super pumped for the round of eight and to see Kyle Larson advancing on.
Yeah, I'm forgetting about Martinsville as well. That's the final
Yeah.
one. Larson picked up the win there early in the year, got the win at Richmond. So short tracks have been on the up for Larson. So it's definitely probably the three best possible tracks in the round of eight for Larson. But as we know, it's best to get the first one out of the way, and you can just kind of smooth sail as you go into the next round. But hopefully we'll pick it up at Vegas. It'll be a good one, I think. Like I said the stats earlier. I mean, it's pretty much a wheelhouse for Larson. So hopefully he just continues that. They've just the five teams had a super fast car pretty much all playoffs long. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one.
Absolutely. So, moving right along here, shifting over to the dirt side of things for Kyle Larson. The High Limit Sprint Car Series, they ran their penultimate race of the 2023 calendar last Tuesday at the Bridgeport Speedway in Swedesboro, New Jersey. I was in there. I was there in attendance for that one. Awesome crowd there on a Tuesday night, and really, I think my biggest takeaway, aside from the racing itself at Bridgeport, was this was my second high limit show of the year, and the efficiency of the show there was awesome. I mean, to be there, they had modifieds, they had big block modifieds as well as the 410 sprint cars, and the 410 sprint car race or feature was wrapped up a little after 9 p.m. So there's not many places where you can get out having the feature at 9 p.m. It was a little bit of a different story at Port Royal on Thursday, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But a good show at Bridgeport for High Limit. Kyle finished second again at Bridgeport. I saw him finish second there last year to Sheldon Haudenschild in the World of Outlaws race. So another second place for Kyle, but a good run. And really, I think they're just the track conditions didn't necessarily allow for the type of racing that we expected at Bridgeport. I think we expected a little bit racier of a track, but it seemed like it was tough to pass, and Kyle had some opportunities in traffic, but it was a second place finish to bring it home there in that race for him.
Yeah, I actually saw an interesting stat, which was a little crazy. I thought Rico, at the Bridgeport race, he was the first driver to actually win from the front row this season from high limit. So, pretty interesting stat there. But yeah, Larson, I mean, he had some speed. He started second, obviously finished second, with about, once the car started to hit lap traffic, we saw Larson try to make a move on Rico. Buddy, that's where he took the second position away from Larson. Buddy was super fast. Seemed like he definitely had the speed to, catch up to Rico, compete for the win. But he was collecting in that wreck when he smashed into that car in turn four. That ended his night. Buddy just didn't have a very very good week. We'll get into that at Port Royal as well, but not the best week for Buddy. He definitely has some speed, but with seven to go, Rico, I mean, he was held up a good bit on the backstretch. I thought that was where Larson was definitely going to make his move for the lead there. But he was coming out with a ton of speed out of two, with a ton of speed. Made a big run on Rico. But Rico, obviously, he held his way, narrowed the points lead down to 15 with Larson. Heading into the final race at Lincoln, it's definitely gonna be a tight one with Rico and Larson only 15 points. Seemed like 15 was the story of the week. I mean, Larson headed into Roval with 15. He's heading into Lincoln with the high limit with 15. So 15 is the lucky number, it seems, this week for Kyle Larson with the championship and playoffs. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it was a good race. Definitely had speed. But obviously just couldn't hold on to Rico. Rico, he's just been too fast this year. Obviously, him and Rico have been the fastest. I mean, looking at the points with high limit, it's really just them, and then it's just a huge, like, 120 some point gap, something like that, in the third spot. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be definitely a good one heading into Lincoln, in Indiana, Lincoln Park Speedway. So we'll see coming up. That's tomorrow. Yeah, today's Monday, so that'll be tomorrow. And yeah, we'll recap that in next week's podcast. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, hoping to pick up the first of two championships on the 2023 season for Kyle Larson tomorrow night at the Lincoln Park Speedway. He needs to finish sixth place or higher to clinch the championship, regardless of where Rico finishes. So, if Kyle finishes sixth and Rico wins, Kyle will be the champion. If he finishes any worse than sixth, it's gonna take Rico finishing a couple of spots further down from first. So. A little bit of a cushion there for Larson. 15 points, not too bad. I think that he's going to have a fast car at Lincoln Park. I'm not sure where did Kyle finish there. I can't remember where he finished there in the race that they had last
He
year.
finished he finished there 10th. That was the race where he was battling. He was battling for second, then a caution came out, then he had that flat. I think
Okay.
it was somewhere in the midpoint of the race. He had a flat, made his way back up to 10th. That was the one that Buddy won.
Buddy Kofoid won it, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, Kyle, we do expect him to probably be fast there tomorrow night at the Lincoln Park Speedway. I mean, as always, we expect Kyle to be fast. Nothing new there on the sprint car side of things. He's always got a chance to win in the Silva 57, and the Silva 57 kept it rolling into Port Royal on Thursday night. Dylan, I kind of caught wind of this one on Tuesday night at Bridgeport. They kept it a good secret from us. We saw the Tuscarora 50 being rescheduled at the Port Royal Speedway for a Thursday night and thought, hey, I mean, Kyle Larson's got to run this thing right, and $62,000 to win there. And we hadn't heard anything up until Tuesday, and Tuesday I found out he was gone. I had to be there on Thursday night, so I made the long, painful drive up to Port Royal. It was a 3 hour and 45 minute drive for me. Didn't get home until 3:30 in the morning. Had to be up and go to work the next morning. So that was definitely tough. But Port Royal's always worth it. If anybody ever has the chance to go to Port Royal, an amazing track. Always puts on a really good show there. And I mean, as far as on the racing side of things, I think the track was a little bit tough early going in the night. Kyle really looked good in qualifying. He was second quick in Group B, and then with the inversions in the heat race being a little bit tough to pass, he was mired back in the 14th starting position in the feature. But it was a good one. I think, at least from my point of view, it was a pretty good race, and also had the opportunity to ride around in the push vehicle on Thursday at Port Royal. I got to push off cars in in hot laps and qualifying there with Port Royal Speedway track prep expert Steve Steinley. Got to have a really cool time there. Pushed Larson off for qualifying. If you didn't see our on location video on YouTube, we have on location videos up from Port Royal and from Bridgeport. We'll probably link those down in the description of the YouTube version of the podcast. But Port Royal was a good one, Dylan. How was it watching from Flow Racing back at home?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, Brent Marks, he pretty much seemed like he was going to be the winning car that night. Chase Randall, he had a ton of speed. He was holding on, but Brett Marks, he looked super fast. It seemed like he was pulling away from him there, but with around 16 to go, that was around after the break. Which, by the way, the break, it was pretty cool. Team made some fixes to the car. Sylvie was patching up the tire, and one thing that I saw was really cool. There was a big hole in the top of the wing. One of the guys, he actually took Silva's setup clipboard and taped it up to fix the hole of the wing. So that was a really cool thing. But yeah, Brent Marks, he seemed like he had the speed to win. He wrecked with 16 to go, got in the guardrail. From that point, I think Larson was sitting around eighth, so he still had some ground to cover with 16 to go. From there, I mean, it seemed like Rico and Buddy, they were the two guys that had the speed to, potentially win once Marks was out of the race. Rico, he had trouble. He slowed down after the initial restart. His night was done. Buddy was seven to go. He was off pace. His night was done. So there goes those two guys. That left Randall. Randall, he was very quick all night. I thought he for sure, had it won after those guys with speed were gone. But um, Brian Brown, he had other plans. I mean, he had a great restart heading into two with seven to go. He took the lead. Larson, he took the second spot from Randall pretty soon after that restart, and from there, I mean, it was just Larson trying to chase down Brown. Brown had a super quick car. Really was no catching him with that much time left. Maybe if there was enough time left to have some lap cars here and there, maybe could have caught up to him, but yeah, ultimately it just wasn't enough. Ended up getting second, but 14th from second, definitely pretty good. Two second places in a row, that's tough for you. I remember when we went to Speed Week last year. I mean, it was like two second places in a row. So that whole PA area, it just know if Larsonland if either of us is in attendance in any PA area sprint car race, it's probably gonna be a second. So
And also I had a second at Grandview too earlier in the year, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm three in a row with seconds for Larson in PA. So uh, definitely, maybe we got to break the Pennsylvania curse for Larson Land. We broke the curse on the other end. I got to see Larson win at Golden Isle and at Richmond earlier in the year. So we got to break the sprint car and the Pennsylvania Larson Land curse. But man, Dylan, I mean this one was a good one to watch from the stands. On my side of things, I think it was a really stressful race, really, and I don't know if they got across that way on flow as much as it was in person because I don't know if they mentioned it or not, but at that halfway break right before then, it started to drizzle a little bit at the track. There was raindrops falling down. Everybody in the stands was kind of that when the rain starts to pick up at the track, everybody's looking down at their arms, like feeling for the rain coming. And you looked up at the lights at the track, and the rain was coming down pretty hard during the halfway break there, and I was like, man, we gotta get this race back going here. This is bad. We're not gonna get to the finish. And honestly, I think I'm become a little bit of a believer of the vortex theory, Dylan, because every time there was a caution, the raindrops, you could feel them. They started to pick up just a little bit. But once those cars got going back around the track, not a drop of rain. They ended up getting the entire race in. It sprinkled a little bit on the ride home, but definitely was glad to see the entirety of that race get in. I mean, they were, like you said, they were dropping like flies in that second half. I mean, I don't know if Kyle had a second place car. He might have had like a fifth place car, but ended up finishing second. So you can't really complain too much about that one. And like you said, the tire plug and the clipboard thing, crazy. I mean, Dylan, I got to ask you, would you want to drive a 410 sprint car around Port Royal with a plug tire? I mean, Kyle Larson has some serious guts.
I mean, I don't know if I could drive one, period. I mean, after seeing us on iRacing, I don't know if we'd be very, safe to be on the track per se.
Right.
But maybe some drivers would fear for their safety with us on the track, but yeah, it was a cool one. It was very, very long. As soon as you texted me and said that there was rain, I definitely thought it was going to be an even longer night for you. I thought there would end up being a delay or something because it was just caution after caution after caution. It just would not stop. But thankfully they got it in. Yeah, but I don't think Larson really had the fast car like you said, but Rico, Buddy, Marks, those were the three guys that were super quick, and they all unfortunately got out of the race. So it was pretty much up to Randall, and then Brown. He had that late speed, but thankfully got the second place spot. Wish he could have got the win, but maybe a few more laps. It tends to be the case a lot of times for Larson. Just a few more laps, probably could have got the win, but ended up being a good one, and hopefully he continues that speed hanging into Lincoln Park on tomorrow.
Yeah, and with Brian Brown winning, I mean that's a guy you like to see win. I mean Brian Brown's a cool guy, always a really good interview after the race, and was stoked to see him pick up a big time win, 62 grand at Port Royal, and really, I mean the other one for me, huge tip of the hat to Chase Randall. I mean I think it was his first time at Port Royal. I think I heard, so I'm not, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think it was his first time at Port Royal, and really showed out. I mean, in a good fashion, leading a good portion of that race, hanging up there in the front. So, Chase Randall is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the coming years in the sprint car world. He's a hot young talent, and looking forward to see him kind of progress over the next couple years. But uh, other news for Kyle Larson, we've kind of known about it for a little bit, Dylan, but it got officially announced today that Kyle Larson's IndyCar test, his first IndyCar test, will be taking place at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Thursday. Kind of, I guess the surprising thing to me is that this test will be open to the public. So if you're in the Indianapolis area, you can go out there and watch Kyle Larson make laps around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the first time in IndyCar. The grandstands in the short chute between turns 1 and 2 will be open, and also the spectator mounds in turn 2. I'm not sure if it's free to watch or if it's a you have to pay something to go in, but either way, I mean, what if it's 10, $20, you get to see Kyle go around in the Indy car, it's worth it. Go.
Yeah, we need someone to, get like a tripod and set up a little live stream for us to watch and
Right.
go around because too bad it's not broadcast. It'd be pretty cool. But yeah, he'll be among four drivers to make their rookie test at Indy. It's what Wednesday and Thursday. Larson's gonna be on track Thursday, but the orientation is made up of three phases. The first phase is 10 laps at 205 to 210 mile an hour. The second's 15 laps at 210 to 215, and the final's 15 at 215 plus. So definitely some speed that Larson's never really flirted with. I mean, he's been around the oval and Xfinity and Cup side of things, but never really got up to that type of speed. So hopefully, he'll get comfortable pretty quick. I know he said in interviews before that he just hopes he's, as comfortable as he is and as at home as he is in all these other cars he's been in. But yeah, I mean, just really hoping for the best and hoping he, is comfortable and gets everything, in gear as he prepares for the Indy 500 next year.
Yeah, and I mean, I expect it to be kind of a tame first session for Larson. Like you said, I mean, the rookie orientation, they do ramp the drivers up. I remember a couple years ago with Jimmy Johnson's rookie orientation at Indy. I think his ended up actually being a little postponed or messed up because of some rain in the area. I did look at the forecast for Indianapolis on Thursday. Right now, no rain on the schedule or on the forecast for Indy on Thursday. So hopefully it gets in fine. It has been a little bit cooler, I think, in Indianapolis. So I know, some problems usually with cooler track temps there. I know they don't like to practice or run cars around Indy with cooler temps. But to Dylan's point before, if anybody is in the area, if anybody is at the test, send us some videos. We might post them on our social media. We obviously aren't going to be there, so if you're fortunate enough to be there, take a couple videos. We'd love to see them, and they might even be posted on Larsonland somewhere.
Yeah, I saw some people talking about that they said it's like been much colder in Indy than usual right now, and there was some, flags to be raised maybe about the cooler track and then the cooler tires and running at those high speeds. So hopefully everything goes well. Hopefully they're able to have a smooth rookie orientation and nothing bad happens and they got to postpone it or something. But yeah, hoping for the best. Like Sawyer just said, send some videos. Um, yeah, just some videos would be cool because as we said, it's not going to be broadcasted. It's just like a timing website, right? That you can
Yeah,
track it.
that's what I was gonna say next. If you're like us and you're not gonna be there at the track, live timing for the test will be available on racecontrol.indycar.com. That is racecontrol.indycar.com. We'll probably put that link in the description on the YouTube version of the podcast as well. So if anybody wants to follow along on Thursday, like probably what we will be doing, we will be on that racecontrol.indycar.com trying to look at the lap times and speeds that Kyle Larson is running, and kind of try to see if, I mean, I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be kind of comparing those no toe lap times to what we saw in terms of no toe lap times from IndyCar or Indianapolis 500 practice during the month of May this year to see where Kyle kind of would have stacked up. I mean, obviously different track conditions, but nonetheless, kind of cool to play that game of, where would he have been if he was in this year's practice sessions. So yeah, looking forward to it. Big time stuff. Indy 500, Kyle Larson, two things that are they go quite well together. It sounds like, Dylan.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, Brickyard 400 also returns next year, so that just raises some more practice time in the future for Mid Indy. Hopefully, he can pick up that crown jewel as well, the Brickyard 400. That'll be cool. Now that the Indy road course is gone, so. But yeah, hopefully, he just continues the speed in the open wheel cars. I mean, he's got the sprint cars heading into Indy, and then tomorrow he'll be in the sprint car again, Lincoln Speedway. High limit season finale tomorrow in Lincoln Speedway in Indiana. It's going to be a huge field. I probably like 40 plus cars or so. But yeah, like we said earlier, I mean, it's going to be all eyes on Rico and Larson. Rico, he's only 15 points behind Larson for the championship lead. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one. As I said earlier, Buddy Kofoid, he was the one to win the Lincoln Park race last year, so you can look out for him. He's had some speed, as I said, in the Tuscarora and then the high limit race earlier in the week. He definitely had the speed, but some unlucky circumstances took him out. So he's definitely going to be one to look out for in this race. If it's not Rico or Larson battling for the lead, he's definitely got to look out for.
Yeah. So, big time stuff coming up over the next couple weeks. It's all kind of coming to a head, Dylan. The high limit series wrapping up. We've got IndyCar stuff. The NASCAR season's coming to a close. Just 4 races left on that side of things. Definitely an exciting time to be a race fan and really to be a Kyle Larson fan. So, unless you had anything else, Dylan, I think that should pretty much wrap up today's massive show. I know it's a little bit longer than usual for everyone, but if you made it this far, if you stuck around, we appreciate it. Be sure to, to leave a like, leave a comment, and always subscribe to Larsonland.
Yeah, definitely. It's a long one. I'm looking at it. Was it 33 minutes right now? So definitely one of the longer ones. What was the longest we've had? Like 50 minutes or something, I think it was.
I don't know. One of our longest ones, I think, was around the incident last year at Las Vegas
Oh yeah.
between Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson. I know we had a long one of those podcasts that we did. So obviously, better circumstances this time around for a long show. But again, we appreciate everybody watching and listening to today's show. We'll be back again next week to recap the high limit finale at the Lincoln Park Speedway, as well as the NASCAR Cup Series Round of 8 opener at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you do not miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.